Welcome to the channel, Kevin.
Yes.
Maybe you can just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how what you're doing in real estate. What are you up to right now?
Yeah. Oh, first of all, I'm just super grateful to be here. It's Saturday morning. What else better to do on a Saturday morning but talk about real estate,
I
right? I mean,
know.
I looked at your content and when you reached out to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, this man's closing like deals left and right. Like you just bought a new construction sub two in Texas. You got Mitchell Rentals in Sacramento. By the way, that Mitchell rental looks really cool. I don't know. Did you buy that on market or what'd you do with how'd you buy
So
that?
I did buy that conventional. That was the one that I bought before I learned about Subject 2. And then afterwards I learned about it. I was like, ah, shit, I shouldn't have bought this one. Like I should have done more sub twos. I kind of
Yeah.
regret that one, but yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, if it cash flows, whatever. So my business is very similar to yours. I've been doing creative finance for the last 3.5 years. Been with Pace Morby for the last 3.5 years. And literally when I first started my business, I just did lots of wholesaling, right? Like I'm not gonna get into wholesaling, but just in 2023 alone, I did 90 subject to deals and I bought 11 of those 90, right? And it's so crazy that like it's just not it's one of those things that many people don't talk about where you can just leverage other people's existing loans at like 2 3 4% while the rates are 8%, what like eight, probably over 8% now.
When I
So
first learned about Subject 2, like in the middle of last year, I was obsessed. From me first learning about it until me closing my first sub 2 was about 4 or 5 months. Yeah, I've been obsessed with it. Most of my content nowadays on YouTube is talking about Subject 2 now. So it's I think it's crazy.
right. Especially like nowadays when the rates are so high. So
Yeah.
like if a house payment that would have been 2,800, you buy subject to they're like 2,000, 2,100. That's like additional $800, 700, $800 in your cash flow. So
Yeah.
you have you have edge against everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's what I've been doing. And so in my portfolio right now, I have just under 30 doors and single family duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and all of them are like all
All
of
in
them are
Arizona?
oh no, I got 26 in Arizona and then I got a few in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, how was that? I mean, the main thing is like main question with Mark with the Florida rentals is the insurance. How are the insurance rates over there?
You know, honestly, we got really lucky. We got really lucky because we have my partner who is a veteran. She has very close friends. She has a very close relationship with her friend who is an insurance broker, and I mean we still get decent rates. It definitely went
Nice.
up from the time that we bought it, and they still didn't pull out of Florida, so we're good. We're good for now.
Nice.
But like I told my partner, hey, like we're only gonna buy in Arizona now because Arizona has the lowest state homeowners insurance and then the one of the lowest property taxes.
Oh, really? Okay. What's the property tax rate over there?
Well, I don't know the exact rate, but at my house, I bought it for like 650,000 and my property tax is like 2,100 a year.
2,100. Okay. I can't do the math off the top of my head, but yeah, that sounds pretty low. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, okay, I'll say the only thing about Arizona that I'm a little afraid of is the water crisis. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I
Uh,
heard.
do you know? I don't really know anything about it. All I know is that like Arizona's like running out of water, but I have no idea. Like it's just an article that I saw the headline of, but I didn't even read or anything like that. Do you know anything about that?
I read it, but I'm like, I'm really not worried about it because there's 4 million people here. You're telling me 4 million people cannot come up with a solution to the water problem.
Yeah, that's true. I know somebody who sold their fourplex off of that article. Like as soon as they read it, they got scared and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like, and then they 1031'd out. Yeah, but it sounds like you're doing great. That's awesome, man. And you're like super tight with Pace. How did that happen?
Yeah, so Pace and I are super close. I was texting him yesterday, and I'll spend the day with him on Thursday, and we travel all over the country in the last probably 2 3 years. And I really built that relationship because I was one of his very first student.
Oh,
And
okay.
I do like when I first joined, I was 19. No, I was 20 at that time when I first joined his community mentorship.
Yeah.
And I was like one of the people that was always active on Zoom. I would always comment, always doing something. Pace, I got in trouble with door knocking. I got arrested. Blah blah blah, which did happen. And then like just I feel like Pace loved that part of it, like that I was just always going and going.
You got
So
arrested.
I did get arrested door knocking foreclosures, yes.
Oh my God.
Um, and that's when he was like, oh, who is this kid's this is kind of weird. Let me invite him to Arizona. So I earned like 2 days, spent 2 days with Pace
Nice.
3 years ago, and I went golfing with him and his family. And then that's when I was like, you know what, like I want to be in Arizona. So I moved to Arizona 2.5 years ago. And ever since then, like that's where my
Where'd
roots
you
were.
live before?
So I'm originally from California, like Irvine
Okay.
area, and then I lived in Vegas for 2 years, and then I moved to Arizona.
Wow. So how do you like it there? Because my wife and I, we actually visited Texas, but it was, everybody says I live in California. Everybody loves the weather here, right? So it's like, how's the weather change been for you? Like it's bearable,
It's just about bearable.
just about bearable.
Sucks. Very often uninhabitable, in my opinion. It
Yeah.
was 103 degrees yesterday. It's only May 4th.
Oh God,
So
it's only gonna get harder from here.
yeah, so which is the reason why I'm getting out of here during the summer. I'm gonna go travel all over the countries,
Nice.
speaking events. So
That's good, man. Yeah, you've been growing pretty big, man. Like you started the YouTube channel recently, so yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and that's kind of the reason why I wanted to schedule a call with you is because like I heard some of the things that you're talking about in that video, and I thought it was really interesting that some of my audience, again, my audience are mostly high W-2 income earners. A lot of them are tech bros, a lot of them are doctors, married couples, two kids usually around like their early 30s up to like their low 40s or so. But yeah, both of us, like there's not that many 20 something year olds in real estate, to be honest, and that's kind of why I kind of really liked your channel and just your content in general. So the next thing I want to kind of talk about is kind of like at the highest level, like what is your strategy right now, and what are kind of your goals for this year?
right. So for me, I've been always a single family guy. I've done lots of single family deals, but I'm just getting into the phase of my business where, you know what, like for me to go buy a single family home is much more work, if not same amount of work as if I would buy a 3 unit, 4 unit. And I'm like, I would rather spend my time going forward on multifamily, like bigger multifamily, like 20, 30, 40 units. And it's a mindset thing, right? Like 20, 30 units is still big for me. And somebody that's watching this video will be like, you know what, I got 7,000 units. You think 20 units is big? That's too small for me. But for me, 20, 30 units is where I want to get to. But I really, really want to focus on creative financing strategy specifically because it is very relatable to what most people are going through, right? Like very like I've never really had a W-2 where I can qualify for traditional financing. So for me, like in real estate, if I didn't know anything about creative financing, real estate investing would be completely out the window. But then
True.
because of creative financing, like taking over mortgage, like subject to, and then seller financing, where the seller gives you the financing, like that really allowed me to buy so many properties all at the same time. And I want to, and being someone in their early 20s, I want people to be like, you know what? Someone like early 20s can buy all these properties without any of their own cash, any of their credibility. I'd love to like cast that vision saying you can do it too, even if you're busy, even if you have a W-2 job and you don't have any time, you know?
Yeah, I will say the subject to transaction that I did was quick. It was easy.
Oh, very quick.
Very much unlike buying a home through a conventional lender. That's a huge benefit, right? But yeah, I mean, I actually the reason why I wanted to schedule a call with you is because I'm in a very similar boat as you, because I have been buying single families. I bought four of them now. This year our tax bill is going to be quite high. And so a lot of the stuff that I teach on my profile is, you know, teaching W-2 people, W-2 earners, high W-2 earners, how to basically buy real estate and leverage the real estate to basically help them pay no less taxes on their W-2 income. So for
Right.
me, my buy box right now is I'm looking to buy close to maybe 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars worth of real estate. Hopefully seller financing. Like that's one of my main criteria is because I don't want to put 25% down. I would prefer to maybe I still like putting a little bit of money into the deal because I don't like, having too much leverage. So, I'm looking to put maybe like 10, 15%, potentially even 20% down. But yeah, I'm looking to essentially consolidate because you're right. It's the same amount of work. To be honest, having two single family homes in two different locations is kind of a pain in the ass because like I have one in California, one in Texas. They have different laws. This one has HOA, that one doesn't. So it's like a little back and forth there. So it is a little bit more like confusing. And I am looking to consolidate kind of like where you're at right now. And so when you said that I saw a recent video, you did like an hour-long video about like my goal this year is you said you're trying to buy 100 units in multifamily this year, right? Seller finance.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
great thing about
Also,
seller finance is like it's like unlimited scalability. You're not restricted by anything. Like you could go buy 100 units, right? Like you don't have a W-2 job where like you have to qualify for a loan. Probably with that approach, you probably get restricted after like, 10 units. And then after that, your DTI is done for. You can't buy anymore. You can't go to a conventional lender anymore. But with seller finance, you can. You can scale up as much as you want. So I think that's super interesting.
and I
Yeah.
want to add I want to add this one more thing real quick is like most of the time when you buy a house from a seller finance seller, they usually have another house, right?
Yeah, that's another thing you mentioned too. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I have a friend of mine. He's bought like 120 something units, and he bought just four. He's done 4 deals in his life, and and only two sellers. And the first seller is when he had when he did the active outreach, and the second seller was friend of the first seller, right? So it's like you just need like one relationship to get you going, and then you're like off and running.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I was watching your video and you said something like, you know, you were meeting with this guy and you were just having a conversation and he like mentioned that he has like 20 other properties or something like that, right? And so, but are those single families that you're trying to buy from him now?
Yeah, those are single family, and I wanna buy those are the only single family homes that I will buy just for the story side. Like, hey, I one
Nice.
seller can change your life, something like
That's
that.
true. It's true. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, there's a lot of boomers out there who have crazy portfolios that are looking to retire. They don't want to have the headache of, you know, managing these rentals. So that's super cool, man. But for those of, you know, for my audience who are new to seller financing, maybe you can kind of give a rundown of seller financing. Like, how does it work? You know, what are the kind of things that you have to know about seller financing if you want to do it?
Yeah, yeah. The first thing about seller financing is that it is a very it's not as high level as people think it is, right? Like
It's like the most traditional way of buying anything.
yeah, and I think people overanalyze it because
Yeah.
it's a house. Like this phone, like I could say I bought this home. I'm not this phone, this phone, like my iPhone. I bought it for like $1,100 last year cash, right? And if somebody was like, "Hey, I want to make payments to you," I'm like, "Yeah, give me $50 for the next 12 months or something, because this is probably worth like $600 if that, right?" So it's just like literally taking payments. And you're just doing that on a bigger scale, like a single family house all the way up to big multifamily. And typically that you're only able to do it, not typically, you're only able to do seller financing if there's no debt in place. Because if there's debt in place, you're taking over that payment, which now becomes a subject to transaction. So
Right.
for me, like if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, Kevin, I don't have $600 right now, but can I just give you like $50 down right today, and I'll give you $50 every month for the next 11 months." I'd be like, "Perfect. I'm happy with that."
It's basically an IOU. It's an IOU
Yeah.
directly to the seller,
Yep.
and so that it doesn't involve banks, which is like which is how you're able to scale so fast with seller financing, because you don't have a bank restricting you on what loans you can get and stuff like that. I guess the next question is, so we talked about why multifamily. How are you finding these deals? I know the video that you kind of just did was, you know, talking about that, but maybe you can kind of, for our audience, kind of talk about how you're finding these boomers who have like 20 homes free and clear. Like, where do they exist? What's your plan to find these guys?
Honestly, that's a great question, and I just have recently found a solution to that, or at least I think I have. I haven't really tried it, but
Are you only looking at Arizona at this point?
I'm only looking to buy in Arizona and Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I've done deals all parts of the country. But right now, for my real estate, I'm only so like if I okay, so let's just say my goal is I want to buy every single one of my real estate on seller finance. You
Mhm.
It's whenever a house gets sold on seller finance, there's a paperwork that the seller has to fill out or the escrow officer has to fill out. It's called affidavit of property value, right? And that's in Arizona, and I know that's not the important part of it. But on that paper, there's a checklist, right? FHA loan, VA loan, conventional loan, assumable loan, and then there's seller financing. And then the escrow officer would check seller financing if the house was sold in seller finance, and that would go to the county recorder's office, and they would say, and then they would record this transaction as seller finance, which now
Oh,
becomes a
okay.
public record, right? So what I've done was I just went to Arizona. I went to just Maricopa County, and I looked at every single property in the last 10 years that were sold on seller finance, and it showed. And if I pull up the public record, I can see who the lender is, right? I'm like,
Right. So are you
it's
using
very.
PropStream to pull that up?
Oh yes, I am. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I've been working on. And the funny thing is, when I pulled that list, I bought two houses on seller finance in the last like month and a half. Oops. Two houses on seller finance in the last month.
The timing was really good. It was like as soon as you said that, it was like a
Yeah.
celebration. That's good, man. That's awesome.
And
But
I saw my seller's information on there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually very accurate.
that's awesome. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that there was an option. When you go on PropStream, is there like a checkbox you click? It says like seller financing on it?
Yeah, it's called seller take back.
Seller take back.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm coming up with a nationwide seller financing list, and it's going to be at least 2 months because I'm going to have to individually skip traces, and it's kind of hard to find these people. because these
Yeah.
are small owners. All of them put their house in the LLC, can't find them, all that stuff.
Yeah, usually people who have a portfolio of that size are typically more smart about putting their homes in LLCs and much more organized at that point because they've been doing it for so long, probably. I guess that's what I'm looking for too. But I'm not looking to buy so many as much as you. How much are you putting down for some of these homes? Are you trying to do 0%, 10%? Like what's kind of your like ideal criteria right now
My ideal cry at the moment, it's more
besides
like
low interest rates? But
well, it's low interest rate is preferable. Like so, like the last one I bought was 6% interest rate. It was probably high, but I the only so when I'm analyzing seller finance deals, there's a little bit more emotions involved to it because I'm looking at okay, this person has 17 more houses that they have. So what if I just buy the first one at 6% and the second one 5.5, third one 4%, whatever. I'm okay with buying
building
the
relationship, right?
yeah, building that relationship. Right now, it's like I'm trying to get into it, 5% down. I'm very frugal in my down payment to the sellers because like
I
it's
mean,
like
that's how
I
you
don't want to put
scale.
too much money. Yeah, I don't want to put too much money
But
into one.
how are you making these properties cash flow if you're only paying 5% down? I mean, 5% down with 6% interest, like I can't find anything at that with that down payment and that rate that's going to cash flow. How are those cash flowing then?
Right, right. So now you have to turn around. Okay, so I got a house. I'm 95% leverage with 6% interest rate.
Does
Okay,
that
I
ever like worry you at all?
worry me
I'm
about what?
personally scared because like I mean the lower down payment you have, the higher your monthly payment is, right? And it's just kind of a scary thought, I guess. But what's your thoughts on that?
I'm honestly not really scared really because I'm gonna have a fixed payment every single month.
True.
But what I prefer is I can't balloon the seller out too early, right? So for people that don't know what balloon is, it's like the seller says I'll schedule your payment for 30 years, like a typical mortgage. The seller's like, I don't want to. I might not even be alive in 30 years. So can you pay me the remainder amount in year 10? So that's called a balloon. So like if I have it like long enough balloon, like a 10-year balloon, I'm okay with,
That's true.
the
10 years is a long time.
yeah,
By that time, the home price is going to be probably double. And, worst case scenario, you can always sell for an exit strategy. So
right.
yeah, I think that's true. But I mean, I guess the main part is like going back to the question, like, how are you cash flowing on these? Like, are you midterm rentaling them every single one? Are you short-term rentaling every single one? I imagine as a long-term rental, it'd be hard to even break even at that 5% down, 6% interest rates, right?
Yeah, yeah, because you're so over your loan amount is too high and your interest rate is, decently high. So you have to figure out like most of the houses that I own, it wouldn't really work out as, long-term rental. I mean, you'll break even, like, maybe lose 100 or $200 and use it as tax write-off, use it for tax purposes. But
Right.
my 90% of my portfolio is okay, like, hey, I'm gonna turn this house into midterm rental, sign a 3-month lease with this insurance company, this relocation company, this nurse that's in for 13 weeks. So I'm signing like, midterm rental contracts with, and they pay, sometimes double what the regular rentals are.
Right. So you're doing mostly midterm rentals, right? Right now. Well, I thought Arizona has a statewide law that says they can't ban short-term rentals. So why not short-term rentals?
It's more of a scalability thing because
That's
we've
true.
had a couple short-term rentals, but
It's a
then
lot
the
of work.
amount of work, yeah, that my partner has to go hire, these VAs, these managers
True.
in the Philippines. It's like, oh my God, let's just midterm rental everything so that our management team can handle 20 houses instead of 8 houses.
It's funny that you say that because like again, like a lot of my audience are again high W2 income earners. A lot of them are trying to use the short-term rental loophole. So a lot of them are looking for short-term rental properties that they can leverage to reduce their taxable income on their W2 and
Right.
pay a lot less in taxes. But I do always have to kind of caveat that with saying like short-term rental loophole is it's great and all, but like it is you are taking up a part-time job, right? And you're right,
Right.
it isn't quite scalable. So you need to kind of have a plan there as well. But I mean, I see some people making crazy money on like short-term rentals. Like Rob Built, right?
Yeah, Robert. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Rob, he has a property in Austin that he just set up. It's like called the Pink Pickle. And like it's a $400,000 home in Austin. And he's gonna gross like 80, $100,000 a year on that one property. So I think like if you're buying properties like that, it can definitely be worth it. But I think just I have a midterm right now and I've done short-term rentals before. I had one in Josh Tree, and I had one in San Jose in California. And like I have to say the short-term rental in San Jose was a headache. Whereas the one in Josh Tree, I did have a property manager, so it's easier. But like I have a midterm rental love it because it's basically a long-term rental because he's been staying there for 6 months or he has another 3 months to go and like I haven't heard a single peep from him. Like he's
Oh yeah.
basically like a long-term tenant at this point. So, but he's paying me like an increased amount of rent, like compared to a long-term tenant. So it's just like nice. The only question I have is like, how are you furnishing these properties? If you're buying them at such fast rates, like you're probably spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on furniture every year, no?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. We spend a lot of money on furnitures.
Where do
But
you get the furniture from? Do you get like a
um
wholesale deal or?
yes and no. I mean, we now have a checklist. So it's called mtrchecklist.com. Like I we just give it away. We just give it away to people. But like for us, it's like every I mean, what was it? I think last Black Friday, we spent so much money. Like we have a storage here in Phoenix, and
Yeah,
we bought literally like everything was like 25-30% off. And we're like, all right, we're just gonna buy the ones, we're not gonna buy the beds because they're too big, but like the microwaves, all these pictures, the paintings, we just put them in the storage
good
and we
idea.
saved a lot of yeah, we saved a lot of money there. But it's very streamlined. Like every one of our houses, they look exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about is like, in order to do what you're doing, you need a team. And so I wanted to talk about like your mindset when it comes to building a team around you and like what does your current team look like right now? Because I know you have a different like you have a lot of different branches. You have your YouTube branch, your wholesaling branch, and you got the whole midterm rental operations and acquisition and buying the properties. You got a lot of things going on, but what does your kind of team look like right now for each of those kind of branches? If you're okay with
Yeah,
sharing, that
so
is.
I have just on my midterm rental side to start off with, I have a partner that is a 50% owner of all my real estate,
Oh,
and
so you
she
buy
has
50/50 with like for every single property.
every single property, yeah. But then
Okay.
I never hear from her. So
Why
like
not?
we had a flood that happened, like the water heater
Oh,
broke,
is
and then
she managing?
yeah, she's a manager,
Got
and
it. Got it.
she furnishes it like in like 3 days. Like if she already
That's
has all the
awesome.
crews, and we have a team of six VAs, and that's just managing all of our properties, and then we manage other people's midterm rentals that are local, and that's not going to be taking too much of our time. So we have that, and so one partner. And then, but my job in the partnership is to find all the good deals, like seller finance up to, and I raise all the money for them, and then she handles everything on the back end. Um, and with renovations, if we have to ever renovate the house, if like setting up, cleaning and like arranging everything. So I never hear from her unless I like unless I ask for an update. Acquisitions manager, and she's the one that connects all the deals with our buyers on our buyers
Yeah.
list.
I think I'm on the
And
buyers list. Yeah. Are you talking about Lorraine?
yeah, Lauren, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of our buyers are like your clients, like or is your audience, people that have make so much money that like I just need to buy a house just to appreciate them.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because like that really is what I teach, right? Is like there is kind of a hidden benefit to real estate, which is like the tax benefits that you receive. Not really going to talk about it too much because that's a rabbit hole, but I mean, I made a lot of videos on it already. But like typically that's kind of what I hear from people who are start making over $500,000. Like they care way less about cash flow and they're more like I just need to buy real estate for like tax benefits. Like even Pace says that a lot too. He's like, I'm not even in it for like the cash flow anymore. Like he makes millions of dollars from his like other businesses. He's more like, I buy real estate so I don't have to pay taxes. So
Oh,
it's,
100%.
I think it's a big thing. So you got the wholesale operation going on. So you always kind of have a partner, it seems like, for each kind of leg of your business, right? How are you finding these people? Like, how do you like negotiate this kind of, talk?
So I get approached with an opportunity to be my to for people to partner with me, and I turn
Mhm.
majority of it down just because I can't have 100 businesses with 100
Right.
different people at the moment. But like for example, like my partner Cece on my midterm rental side, I've known her for 3 years before I partnered with her last year, and she was killing it in midterm rentals. But she came to me
Nice.
saying, you know what, like, can I buy some deals off of you? Like you're doing so many deals and you're not buying it. Like, like I can help you manage it. So she complimented like my problem was like I was wholesaling every one of my deals, but she was like, I have the team in place. I just need to buy more real estate. And I'm like, okay, how about this? How about I go and find all the deals? I raise all the money for you, raise all the money for the deal, and you just go and manage it, and you never call me. And she goes,
So is the deal kind of like she gets equity in the home?
yeah, she gets 50. Well,
You
she's a 50% owner of the LLC that owns the home.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay. And but you raise all the money for it, and but then her deal is like she takes care of everything else after the closing doors, like after the
Yeah,
closing. That's
yeah.
that's a pretty good structure. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, some people are like, just hire a manager. I'm like, she does way more than just a manager. So I'm happy to
That's
give her.
awesome.
50%. And a lot of and other partnerships that I have are just people that I've been watching from a distance. I'm like, I feel like you're the missing piece in my business, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, I haven't really done too many partnerships because I feel like it just kind of get makes things a little bit more complicated, and I've been scared to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people have a lot of money on my channel, but they just don't know what to do with it. A lot of again, mostly like I would say early family, so like two kids, usually pretty young, and like they are paying a lot of money in taxes and whatnot. But yeah, I might have to look into that. I guess the other thing too is that like we're both kind of starting this YouTube journey, so. But when I scheduled a call with you, you were like, "Oh, like I have an assistant, like hi, work with my assistant to schedule the call." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty crazy. Like I don't even have an assistant right now." So like on the YouTube front, what does your team look like?
YouTube is literally just me and one other person that
Okay.
handles all the thumbnails and the description and all that. But I'm the one that comes up with the ideas, and I'm like, this is like matter of fact, like one video that I'm gonna do is hey, how to get 2, 3, 4% interest rate. That's one of your most popular video. Like those are like I'm like I always study other people's channels to see what kind of videos do really well, and so like I come up with all the ideas, I film them, and then like 90% of the time I edit them myself. I know I need to hire that out, but I
Oh,
just
dude.
I'm letting that go.
Dude, you can use my guy, dude. He needs more work. I think for you YouTube videos too, it's like your YouTube videos are not like super edit heavy, right? Like it's mostly like talking head, like one of these videos where you're just talking to the camera and like you just need to cut it up at the right spots and stuff like that. It's not like you're doing like a cinematograph, like some like crazy movie or whatever, right? So my guy, I'm currently paying him $60 per video, and he gives me the thumbnail and the edit for every video, and he's pretty quick turnaround time. He's pretty good. He actually has a YouTube channel of over 200,000 subscribers, and he's like way better at YouTube than I am. But he's in the Philippines, so it's pretty cheap. I can connect you because I told him that I would try to find him more work. So if you want, I can send you over his contact. But yeah, so it looks like you got a lot going on. You got the YouTube channel going kind of going on. You got so you even I've been seeing more like emails coming in from you lately too. Are you looking to like kind of automate that as well?
Yeah. I'm trying to get more audience engagement
But
because
why YouTube? Why YouTube? Like what's the goal with YouTube?
so when I had a conversation with Pace on Thursday about this, Pace says people mindlessly scroll through Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, and not really with intention of learning. But where you really sell people is long form, right? Like they're sitting down and watching some of your content
Yeah.
sometimes. They're listening to you in the car for 20, 30 minutes at a time. So I want to funnel everybody to my YouTube. So like even like the emails that I send out, it's like YouTube,
Yeah,
YouTube,
that's true.
YouTube,
I do the same thing. Yeah.
and it's been working out so far so good.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you got people like me watching your YouTube channel now too, right? So yeah, I mean, I watched like the 1 hour long video while I was just working on my computer. I was just listening to it on the side. Pretty crazy stuff, right? And like when you said that you were gonna buy multifamily, that's when I was like, oh, I need to talk to this guy, see what he's doing with the
Yeah.
seller finance side, right? Because like here's the thing, like the service that I provide, Creative Deal Machine, right? It helps high income earners locate a short-term rental property so that they can execute the short-term rental loophole. I've done 80 consultations last year with high income earners, people who are making 300K plus. They all have tax bills over $100,000 this year. And I tell them, hey, look, I paid $0 in taxes. I paid $2,000 in taxes 2 years ago, and I did the same thing last year in 2023. And it's the same strategy. So I teach them the strategy, but then the hardest part is how do I find the property? And so that's been after I realized after 80 calls, everybody has the same question. How do I find the property? That's when this new creative deal machine, idea came up. And so I kind of charge a subscription for them to join. They get access to like all these deals that I found. But I am trying to partner with like a lot of Pace Morby students, right? Like as a wholesaler, I don't I'm basically a daisy chainer, I guess you could call it, right? But I don't charge a dispo fee because
Right.
all my clients pay up front. So like I'm trying to connect with all these wholesalers in Pace Morby's group, and saying like, hey, look, I don't even charge a dispo fee. I'm just here to help you find a buyer for your deals. But it's been hard because a lot of my clients are buying properties over $500,000 because that's usually where it gets better for the short-term rental and tax benefits. But a lot of these deals are like 200, $300,000, don't really fit our buy box. The main thing I wanted to learn is like, how are you finding so many deals? What does that kind of look like for you? And for someone like, again, high income W2, they're looking for short-term rentals above $500,000. How would you kind of approach finding a deal like that?
I think a lot of the deals that strategies that allowed me to scale my deal finding ability was mainly social media, right? Because there's a limit to how much you can outreach, right? Like I can only call, let's just individually, like I can only call like 1,300, sellers in a month. But then if I make a post about it and I give away lists to people and they call, I'm just creating, I'm like cloning myself. I'm creating all these minions to go out and call. So instead of if my effective outreach is 1,300, I'm probably reaching out to 130,000 sellers at the same time. Right. So like that, those are the opportunities that come funneling
So
my way.
your social media is kind of like a way to outreach to find more sellers, is what you're saying?
Not more sellers, but someone that's
So has a
other
connection
investors.
with
Yeah, other
somebody,
investors
right?
that is willing to make that is willing to put in the sweat equity.
Got it, got it. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I started my YouTube channel just because I love talking about it. And my wife got tired of me talking to her about it, so she told me to like use YouTube as an outlet instead. Are you collecting like emails as well when you do your like email marketing on those free resources that you're providing out?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
a lot of my emails are from people that just reached out to me saying, I want to buy deals from you. So I get their email. But,
yeah.
I don't have any paid funnel that I'm just trying to collect emails all the time.
Yeah, that's on another thing I was gonna ask you too is like if you're thinking about like offering some paid services at the end of this like kind of funnel, right? Like you're collecting a bunch of emails, you're putting out a lot of social content. Like if somebody wanted to work with you or like, do you provide any type of like service or are you thinking about doing something like that? Like a lot
Uh,
of people, a lot of people do like online courses or whatnot, or like they do like a master community. I know Rob kills it in the online space, right? Like, because he sells HostCamp, which is like, I don't know, 10 grand, and he has like hundreds of students. So like you're talking about millions of dollars there.
yeah, I mean,
Something that you're
I do have a school community that I just launched, and
oh nice.
that's a free community. So I just
Nice.
I'm probably gonna have people go to the free community, and I'm just gonna it's gonna be my way of like serving my audience, right? Like, hey, like my school community will get free access to all the deals before it gets blasted out in emails. I'll do 1 hour weekly call with for free. Just ask me any questions, and then yeah. So I don't have a paid product, but I do have a free community that people can just go to. It's called Kevin Cho Group. You know,
Kevin Show Group. Can I join?
I literally launched it last night, so I'm probably gonna work on it.
Oh, last night. Okay. This is the
Yeah.
hard launch. Nice.
Oh
Cool.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. So how does somebody join?
Oh, you just have to go to school and like type in my group. I think that's it. I don't know. I don't know how school works. I signed up last night, so
Okay.
uh, but that's my vision. Like I have
Kevin Show Group. I'll keep an eye out for it though.
yeah, and then my intention is okay. If I have free, if I'm doing all these free stuff, I mean, I'm sure there will be audience like small portion of the audience. I was like, hey, can I get more? I'm willing to pay. So I might do like
Yeah.
little small subscription.
Well, now you have an email list if you want to broadcast it out to everybody. So that's good. Cool, man. Well, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to kind of talk about? I think that's kind of all I had right now because I wanted to keep the video a little pretty like compact as much as I could.
One thing that I want to do talk about is people that is I think the creative financing space will only get bigger and bigger, right? Like people
Oh yeah.
that when the rates are as high as it is right now, your ability to go get traditional financing is it's not that it's tougher to, but it's just harder to find better deals, right?
Yeah.
And when you collaborate that with your audience, where like, hey, I'm making $350,000 a year, and I paid 100 grand in federal income tax last year. I'm like, oh my gosh, all you need to buy is buy one house and you will offset your liability by a good chunk of change. I don't know the numbers because depending on the state, but you only need to buy like one or two assets every single year for you to save significant amount of money in taxes. So that's what I want to that's what I want to emphasize is like even if you have W-2, I mean I wouldn't recommend anybody to quit their W-2. I will say, you know what? Partner with people like, Mike and say, hey, I have money to invest. I want to give you some money so that I don't have to pay all this money in taxes. And
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I just pulled up so because this is why creative finance is so crazy, right? This same $500,000 home, top chart is 7% interest rate, bottom chart is 3% interest rate, right? Like it's just like your monthly payment is literally $1,000 less for the same home, right? In the case of on the second one down here with $500,000 at $100,000 down, even if you cut that down payment in half down to like 10% instead of 20%, your monthly payment would still be lower than like trying to buy a home using a conventional loan today where you're going to get 7%. So super crazy. That's just one benefit. But like I think from a long-term perspective, this is really where like things get really crazy because so this is your amortization schedule. This is how fast you pay off your loan, right? So like in the first case, like look at this. Like in the first year, you're paying $27,000 of interest, and then you're only paying $4,000 off your principal balance, like your loan balance at 7% interest rate. Whereas like with that same home, but with 3% interest rate, you're literally paying only $11,000 in interest, $12,000 in interest. That's literally a difference of like what, $16,000 right there
Right.
every single year. So like from your perspective, like, are you offering more on the purchase price knowing that, when you get these 3% interest rates, you're saving a shit ton in mortgage interest every single year. Like you're literally paying your downs, you're paying your loan down. You know you're going to be holding these properties for a long time. Are you more willing to kind of pay a little bit higher on the purchase price typically?
Yeah. I'd rather do higher in the purchase price and
Right,
lower on the
because
down
you're
payment.
paying that the back over a long period of time anyways, right?
Right, exactly.
So, is there like kind of like a way that how much to like? Are you putting like for a $500,000 home? Would you be willing to put like $50,000 more? Like, kind of what's kind of the limit there?
If it was a $500,000 house, the most I put is probably 30 grand down.
I mean,
Because
like, in terms of like purchase price, like how much more would you be willing to pay? I mean, if they give you like a
oh
2% interest rate, like, would you be willing to do like 40K more purchase price?
yeah, I'll probably up the highest I'll go is probably another 10% on the
Yeah,
purchase price, so 550.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what we did too with even with the Texas property. I have to admit, like, I think I overpaid a little bit, maybe like an extra 10, 15 grand on top of what the market value was, but like I'm getting that back in the mortgage interest in the first year alone. So I feel like since I plan on holding it for a long time, it's just crazy. I think people need to look at the numbers for them to really realize like how crazy creative finance is. And most people don't look at the numbers. But you said you're also shifting away from subject two, right? If you could talk about like why that is as well.
Oh
Or
no,
maybe not
I'm not.
shifting away, but like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not necessarily shifting away, but I feel like it's easier for me to go buy multifamily with seller financing
it's a
than
scale thing, it sounds
it's a
like.
scalable thing. Yeah, but if I wanted to focus on sub two, a single family, oh my God, sub two would be probably the best place to be, you know.
Yeah, I
And
think
and
so too.
and the higher you go up in bigger buildings, like it's very rare that the homeowner does not know what seller finance is. Everybody knows seller finance.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, even for well, the thing is, even with seller finance, like, are you ever gonna get like 2% rates with seller finance? Like, I feel like how like likely is it? Because sub two, you find a lot of these 2%, 3%, but like for seller financing, I feel like they always expect like because they know that the only other option I have is like I go get a conventional loan for 7%. So nowadays sellers are very like, I want a seller finance of like 6% or like 5%. Whereas before they'd be like, I'd be okay with like 3%. But they know that I have no other option, right? So like, is that something that you've kind of noticed as well?
Yeah, I mean, they're like, hey, you can match the exist, market rate, or I'll give you a percent 1 point less or something. But I have few 0% seller finance, and then but the last
How
one I
does that
bought,
work, dude? What kind of seller would agree to that?
I mean, sellers you just gotta get them at the right time. Like this homeowner was like, you know what, like I'm just so done with real estate. Like I'm going through a divorce. I just don't have time to negotiate. Like 3%, 4% here. I'll
0% is crazy.
well here what I'll give you the price here. This is I think I bought it for like 370. I said 370 is a price. I'm like, all right,
Is there a
three.
balloon on that?
Yeah, I think I have a 6 year balloon on that.
Still, that's crazy. That's an interest-free loan for 6 years. Like, how many times are you going to be able to like multiply that money over 6 years? That's crazy.
Right, right.
It's
Yeah.
just so, yeah. I mean, I just think 2024, I think, is really the year of creative finance. Like, I think 2020 was like the year of like Airbnb. 2020, 2021, Airbnbs went crazy. But I think just as crazy as that was, I think creative financing is just as crazy this year. Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for joining, man. I just want to kind of close up here. I know we're kind of reaching time here. Last kind of points is like maybe you can share, what resources are available for someone like my audience. Again, they're, higher income earners. They're all looking to do creative finance subject to. If you have any resources available for them, what are some good ones? I know maybe you can drop your prop stream. Like, do you have like a referral code? Because I might actually use it because I'm trying to get on prop stream soon.
Yeah, the prop stream, I think the code is just Kevin. It's like
Kevin,
propstream.com/Kevin. But I
nice.
think I think for people like W2, they're already busy with their job. They're not gonna go find their own deals. But what I would say is if you go to my YouTube, there I have a handful of house. I do a lot of deal breakdown of like how subject to and seller finance works, just so that when they go find an opportunity, they know what they're sending the money into, right? Like you don't want somebody to bring you a seller finance deal and they say this is a great deal, but you don't know how to underwrite seller finance deal. Like I have a lot of seller financing underwriting videos, subject to underwriting videos, and I think that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about this too yesterday. I was writing a script on this and like there's so many ways you can structure your seller finance deal, right? You can offer them a higher purchase price, but then in exchange, I want a lower interest rate. Or
Right.
like I want to hire, I want to put less money down, but then maybe the seller doesn't like that. So you have to give them a little bit more purchase price. So there's like a bunch of little strings and levers you kind of have to play with to kind of draft up this like offer that makes sense for both of you guys. So I think it's those type of videos on how you're like playing with those strings, those variables is super interesting. But yeah. And then I guess lastly, how can people find you? Like what are your handles?
Kevin Cho 12, so KevinChoe number 12 on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Thread, everywhere.
I haven't really seen you too much on like TikTok or the short forms, but like I definitely like your YouTube videos. They're really informative. So
Yeah,
thank you for that, man.
yeah, thank you so much.
Cool, man. Well, that's pretty much all I have. If you guys are watching this video, you guys can feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be doing a little bit more content like this, just interviewing people who are in the industry, kind of doing things that like are just super cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining
Yeah,
today, Kevin.
yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Cool, man.